biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling. Glad that you've chosen to join us this morning. And we invite you to get in on the conversation on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That is the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions Hotline. You can also join the chat, the live stream chat. Put your thoughts, your comments, and your reactions there with us this morning so we can react. It's a free-for-all Friday powered by TJ's Pharmacy and Wellness, a free-for-all Friday powered by TJ Pharmacy and Wellness. And we invite you to go check them out at their new location at 303 Hargrove Road East, right there. Same great service, just a new location, better access, easier to serve, but the same great service you've become accustomed to. 205-752-0627. Give them a call, stop by and visit them. Tell them that Martin Houston sent you and told you to stop by. And remember, you need a local pharmacist, and that local pharmacist is TJ's Pharmacy and Wellness. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice, be glad in it, take some time to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world, be a difference maker. Good morning, X. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. So take it away, sir.
All right. Today we are going to be hitting the running back room. I know we hinted at it, but we're finally going to get into it today. A little buy, sell, hold as we move through the position groups, talking the rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. I even want to throw in receptions. When you look at last year, it was running back by committee. But when Grubb was with DeBoer up there in Washington, it was more of a one-man show. But will it be running back by committee down here at Alabama with the depth that Alabama has in the running back room? You got some young guys that are really good guys, some guys that have been here for a while that have proven themselves, transfer running back into the room that's a senior. So it'll be interesting to see how Alabama takes an approach to this year's team, as well as other topics. And, of course, it's a free-for-all Friday, so y'all can get in on the conversation on the Empowerment Strategy Solution Hotline and bring us anything that you want to talk about today as well.
All right, a couple things before we get into that conversation. Kudos to a couple Alabama spring sport athletes for making finalist list. Carson Osmer named National Pitcher of the Year semifinalist. Carson had 17 saves, which is led the nation in D1 as well as Alabama. SEC, a record for Alabama. Of course, so he's on the finalist list. And then Audrey Vandergriff, NFC A Freshman of the Year finalist in softball. Now the big question is, can they make a little noise in the super regionals, and can Murph hold on to her postseason? I mean, these young ladies jump ship in similar fashion to the guys, so we'll see what happens with her moving forward. But kudos to those two for what they were able to accomplish. Then a couple notes. Kalen DeBoer, ranked number 9 amongst top college football coaches. So we can talk about that if you want. Alabama as a program, I thought that was some interesting conversation as well. Ranked number 2 in their what they call the SP Plus rankings. Alabama is the number 2 team behind defending national champion Ohio State. It takes into account returning production, recent recruiting, and recent history to project the health of the program. Alabama was the top 5 in this ranking, top 5 offense, top 5 defense, but 11th ranked strength of schedule. I'm wondering what team schedules they got out there that's tougher than Alabama's. So, we can talk about that as well. But X, I will toss it back to you.
Yeah, just another 2 notes on the baseball team and the softball team. Do you realize this was the first time this year Alabama's baseball team won 40 games since 2002? So this is a team that is playing at a really high level at this high of a level in a really long time, as well as Alabama's 19th super regional in softball is a record. I didn't realize that as well until the other day. So that just shows you how high of a level Coach Murphy's been coaching it and had his Alabama teams at a long time, and where Coach Baum has this baseball team for the first time in a really long time.
That's 40 wins in easily. I'm not sure if baseball. I don't know what's the toughest conference in the SEC anymore. I don't know if it's softball. I don't know if it's baseball. I don't know if it's football. I don't know if it's basketball. I really don't know. I mean, listen, I don't watch baseball. I'm not a big baseball guy. I'll go watch my grandkids and stuff in person, but it's hard to get me to sit down and watch like a baseball game, and especially if I don't know anybody playing. But I'm gonna tell you, last night I was back in my office working, and the TV was on, and I heard the Tennessee game going on. I got up and went in and watched the end of the Tennessee game because those guys can throw that rock. They were hitting. Of course, Tennessee and Texas. Texas was the number 1 seed coming in, but Tennessee sent them home in 12, 13, 14 innings. I remember it was 4 hours.
Wow.
It was 4 hours and some change. That they went, and it was a battle. So it was fun. But I told your sister, I said the next game is coming on. I said, well, just call me back in here when it gets to the 8th inning. But anyway, but yeah, both of those are doing a great job. The question for Murph in Alabama, softball and baseball, Murph and Vaughn, is, can they get over the hump? I mean, will this scholarship thing help Alabama baseball more than will if the NCAA passes rules and everything happens, will it help Alabama baseball more than any sport? And possibly as much as any team in the country. Somehow Auburn has figured out a little bit how to occasionally get back into that. But in baseball, because Alabama being surrounded by 3 states on 3 of the 4 sides by Hope scholarships and lottery and all of that, talking about Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, and Georgia, and LSU, and Florida to a degree. They all have lottery and or play where they're able to give all of their players scholarships, and then Mississippi State doesn't charge out of state tuition, so it makes it easier for. I know there was one time when I know back to back and maybe like 3 out of 5 of the top player in the state of Alabama all went to Mississippi State. Because they can get full rides and it's less expensive. So maybe this will equalize it because I think Vaughn is a really good coach.
Oh, I do too. And just to talk baseball through the rest of this, have you seen the kid Eric Hines from ACA that's coming to Alabama to play baseball? He was a 2-sport athlete. I got to cover him playing football.
Hines?
Eric Hines.
Yeah.
He'll be he's a senior graduating from ACA. I covered him in football, but man, this dude is a heck of a baseball player. He's an outfielder. He's 6'3", almost 220 pounds, and hit 20 plus home runs this year while leading ACA to the state championship.
Yeah.
Absolute baller.
And the question on him is, how good is he? Because
will he get drafted? How will he get drafted? Yeah.
That college football.
That's Alabama's kryptonite when it comes to baseball.
Yeah.
All their top.
Every time they get top recruits, they land them and then they get drafted and they don't come here. So, but good luck to Coach Vaughn moving forward. I don't know if they did enough to get into the postseason. I think they, if they could have played Tennessee tough, maybe. But kudos on him for getting them back to that win total. But that win total was accomplished in the toughest SEC in a long time in baseball, I think. So trending in the right direction. We'll get ready to get out of here.
Yeah, hey, we're going to go ahead and get the break. When we come back on the other side, we'll get Pat in on the conversation, and we'll switch over and talk a little Alabama football. We'll talk about Coach DeBoer and staff, the health of the program, as well as the running back room, buy, sell, hold. This is Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, and we'll be back on the other side.
It's 64 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have an accident this morning, Skyland Boulevard southbound at 2059. There's also long-term road construction, 2059 eastbound between Western Bypass and 69. And there is some long-term road construction, McFarland Boulevard, both eastbound and westbound, between Jack Warner Parkway and Lurleen B. Wallace Boulevard. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Renee Miller.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Townsend Nissan on Skyland Boulevard has all tariff-free new Nissans in stock and ready to be discounted for immediate sales. You've got to shop Townsend Nissan for huge savings right now. Townsend Nissan Tuscaloosa.
Hi, I'm John Poole.
And I'm Krista Poole.
inviting you to the most anticipated event of the season, our anniversary sale at Hudson Pool Fine Jewelers.
And this year, it's even more special. We're celebrating our 40th year in business.
And now through May 23rd, you can enjoy up to 60% off select jewelry and giftware just in time for Mother's Day, graduation, or just simply because.
Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your most meaningful moments for the past 4 decades.
Celebrate with us during our 40th anniversary sale at Hudson Pool Fine Jewelers in downtown Tuscaloosa.
Got timberland in West Alabama or East Mississippi? North River Timber Company has you covered. Since 2011, Courtney White, a registered forester, along with his expert team, have been managing timberland and harvesting timber across 4 West Alabama counties. They offer comprehensive timber management plans, reforestation services, and appraisals. Courtney White says timber is like money in the bank. Don't let your investment go unrealized. Call North River Timber Company today. Email them at northrivertimberco@gmail.com or call 205-242-5127.
Are you ready to treat your taste buds and save big? It's time to seize the deal. Your ultimate hookup for unbeatable half-price deals on your favorite local restaurants. That's right, mouth-watering meals like the best Mexican food, delicious pizzas, irresistible wings, incredible barbecue, and so much more, all for half the price. Whether it's date night, family dinner, or just because, Seize the Deal lets you eat big without breaking the bank. These deals won't last forever. Visit seizethedeal.com/cities/Tuscaloosa.
Hey, I'm Martin Houston, and I want to tell you about exciting news happening at Box Eye Care. They moved to their new location, bringing you a brand new lab, stylish new frames, and a fresh look just for you. Enjoy their expanded frame inventory, competitive prices, and faster service, all with the same great level of service you've come to know and trust. Discover this full-service eye care at Box Eye Care's new location. With their in-house lab, they offer unbeatable value and one of the largest frame collections in town. Schedule your eye exam today and walk out with new glasses in less than an hour in most cases. Visit boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com or call 205-342-0660. That's 205-342-0660. Visit them at 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive. That's Box Eye Care. Your vision, our priority.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky partly to mostly sunny today, the high at 82. For tonight, mostly fair, the low 62. Tomorrow and Sunday, a mixture of clouds and sunshine both days with a chance of scattered showers and storms. Highs between 82 and 85. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 64 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier as we get ready to kick off the second quarter. We've got Pat joining us on the empowerment strategy.
Let's go to the rapid fire first.
Okay. We're going to rapid fire some topics. We have the new potential playoff format changing that is expected to be adopted this year, as well as let's hit that. Let's go ahead and hit that, and we'll move to the next one. What are your thoughts on the new adopted format with it being a straight up, it of course 1 through 4 get buys, then it's 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, and so 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9.
Yeah, I mean, I think the seeding, if the seeding is how you're picking the playoffs, then that needs to be it. I get putting, conference champions in automatically because, they can't help it if their league is down. But if you think that team is the 16th best team in the country, a la Clemson, how do you give it a bye over the other 11 teams that got in?
Right.
Or equal with 3 of the other teams and the remaining 8. Now that that my mindset hurts a team like Alabama, but this wouldn't change Alabama's fate from last year because Clemson was, ranked outside. But you ended up with two teams that were, would be the 11th and 12th ranked team in the polls based on their judgment and assessments of the team. But they got buys, right? So I do like the seeding, and to me that's getting closer to what the way they do it in basketball. You're getting a little closer to seeding based on your body of work when it comes to the playoff and the run. So I think it's a good thing. And Alabama needs to make sure what you need to make sure of to guarantee yourself a spot in the college football playoffs. You have to be ranked at least number 7, because technically, I guess conference champions could end up being 13, 14, 15, and 16. Right? I mean, like literally, worst case scenario, you could have it where the 4 teams that could be the 1, 2, 3, 4 teams could all be or 5 teams could all be from different conferences. And then actually, I guess you have to make sure that you're at least number 6. No, 7, right? Because if the second place team is all ranked lower like Clemson was last year, if they all upset the favorite, then you could see 5 teams jump back into the polls. So it's kind of crazy to think about, but I do like that. And then of course next year, suppose they're going to 16 teams. I don't know, and nobody gets a bye. So is one of the things they're looking at. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I think that's the way it should be. It should be straight up. It shouldn't be. Last year was weird. I thought it was weird, but I kind of overlooked it. But this format, how different is the playoffs this year if this was the format that they had in place? Do you get Ohio State versus Notre Dame? Does Ohio State make it? What are the chances? It could have completely flipped it. So the natural flow and order format is the way I think it should have been from the get-go, and I like the fact that they're talking about making this change.
Yeah, I like the change too. Just a quick shout out. Brought up a topic, Blind Squirrel Sport, about Keelan Russell, and kind of a rapid fire there. Keelan Russell purchasing his mom, a car. That's the good of the NIL world, and I like that, and so I shout that out. But also, just on a totally uncolleged topic, the tush push passed. I mean, didn't pass. It failed. I heard they kind of got heated. Leary calling out the commissioner and Green Bay and all of that. But did you see what they tried to do? They tried to change it where they got rid of the push and the pull, which I like, actually. I wish they would get rid of the push and the pull. I do. I think the tush push is the play. And I don't think Jalen Hurts is effective in the tush push because the people behind him. You go back and look, nothing changed when they said the guys couldn't immediately push. It's that offensive line and Jalen Hurts' legs. It's Buffalo. The 2 teams that are effective at it is Buffalo and Philadelphia, and it's because of their quarterback, not because of the guys pushing him.
Buffalo didn't vote for it. You know why? Because in the playoffs, Josh Allen at 6'5", 240-plus pounds, couldn't effectively run it. And it's because it's not just about the push, as you were stating. It's the offensive line. It's the power and leg drive that the quarterback has. Sure, the the push can help a little bit at the end. But most of the time when you see Jalen getting pushed, the offensive line is submarine, and he's already over the top. They're just getting him an extra yard or two maybe with the push.
But Buffalo was not against it. Buffalo wants to touch push. Buffalo runs it at the same percentage effective. It just didn't work in the playoff. They run the same percentage effective almost as the Eagles. So between those two, they get 81% of the time they get a first down or a touchdown. But the fact that the NFL was looking at it, Xavier, and it was a point. Listen to this: how many plays? 0.28. That's how many plays. The crazy part, you know what the rest of the league's success rate is? 71%. So it wasn't. But the I hate watching when they be pulling a guy. I don't have a problem with the offense pushing a guy, like running the ball, you're blocking, and all of a sudden the running back's in front of you. I don't have a problem with that push, but I don't like you can get on the other side and pull them towards you. I don't like that at all because I don't know why. I just don't. Maybe because it was against the rules when I was playing. But pushing, that's the direction you're going. I mean, literally, that's part of the play. It's easy for a offensive lineman to end up behind a running back in the natural course of a play. But if you're on the other side of pulling, you probably missed your man, got whooped or something because you're now on the other side pulling towards you. I don't like that. But anyway, that's just my thoughts.
What's the simplification of pushing or blocking? What's the simplification of blocking?
To push the other guy. How can it not be? How can it not be holding when you pulling the guy? Like when you grab the pile and pull it towards you, how is that not holding? Right?
No, I mean, you're not wrong.
So that's why I don't like it, I guess. Anyway, let's get to Pat as we wrap up this totally free-for-all, mixed up, messed up, all over the place second quarter. Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Empowerment Strategy Solution Hotline. What's on your mind?
Guys, does this running back room become a young Miller Hill show? Or does AK Deer make the field John Deere green?
I don't think it's that combination, and I don't think it's AK Deer getting on the field this year. Jalen Washington, from what I've seen with his skill set, will have a role in this offense. I think we're going to talk about it a little more, but I think if it is running back by committee, it's going to be Miller, Young, Washington. And I think we're a year away from seeing AK really get a real opportunity. Washington and Miller are seniors, so they'll be gone. So you potentially, if they continue the running back by committee approach, see two new faces within the big rotation next year.
Okay, so you don't think Hill's going to get, because of just sheer size, going to be short yardage running back?
I think that's Richard Young.
Okay.
I think he's a power back with more explosion at this point.
Okay. Got you. I just hate that one left. Because I just liked him. I was a fan, but anyway, Coach knows more than me, I guess. We'll see.
Don't put that on the coach. That was a young kid. We didn't get what we expected out of him last year, and I think he checked out. So, and he was hurt the whole time. And I think he's going to be a superstar at Michigan. Just FYI, but
that's what I'm worried about.
But I don't. I mean, why are you worried about that?
Got to see him again.
How How you know you're going to see them again?
Michigan's gonna be back in the hunt. There's nobody up there that they're gonna beat.
Based on what, Pat?
Michigan. Michigan.
They're going to have a true freshman. They're going to have a true freshman at quarterback. Their defense that kept them in games last year had 2 first-rounders, a second-round pick that should have been a first-round pick. You know, that defense is not as good as it has been.
And I think offensively, I think they may be physical, but I don't know that they will be able to score. But you have to understand, Pat, it's more than one team in the Big Ten now.
Yeah. Hey, one other quick thing before we leave is Notre Dame getting a bye if they're in the top 4 hurts my feelings. That ain't right.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, they do.
That's what. They do.
Whoever ends up 1 through 4 gets a bye.
And Notre Dame gets a bye. Man, they didn't play in a championship. That's just wrong.
When was the last time Notre Dame ended up ranked number 4?
I understand that. I'm just saying, what if
2020?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Notre Dame not having to play a conference championship is bad. But you know, the reality of it is, you know, they got in last year and they deserve they belong. So I'm gonna tell you, I like their coach. I mean, he's won me over to not dog Notre Dame. I think that his approach and the way he does things. I'm not saying I'm a Notre Dame fan by any stretch of the imagination, but you're
a fan of Marcus Freeman.
I think you could put Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame in. I think that they would be just as good as Clemson in the ACC or in the Big 12. I don't know that they had enough horses to compete week in and week out in the SEC in the Big 10. They may get worn down.
All right, guys. Dabo's coming back, guys. That's all I got to say.
Oh, I didn't say. Well, where did he? I guess the question is, when did he leave? I guess he gets a 2-year hiatus. But Clemson's going to be one of those tough teams if everything comes together. You know, everybody's dogged him about the roster management and transfer portal. It's funny, X, how we celebrated DeBoer for keeping all of his players this year, but last year and year before we dogged Dabo because he didn't bring in a lot of transfer portal guys. Well, you don't have any. You can't bring in players if nobody leaves. Let's say, right? Dabo in the last couple of years has had fewer players going to portal than Saban was averaging per year before the portal. That's why Clemson could be a really good team, X, because they're old, I think. I think they got a lot of guys coming back. So it'll be interesting to see. Thanks, Pat. All right, X, get us a break. We'll jump in and get a few comments on the other side.
All right, when we get back, we'll continue the conversation, get into the running back room quickly, as well as Coach DeBoer and coaching staff, as they've been talked about a lot lately, and where do they rank. We'll be back on the other side of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Townsend Nissan now with up to $6,000 off select Frontiers, $4,000 off the Pathfinder, and $13,000 off all remaining Titans. All made in the USA. That's Townsend Nissan Tuscaloosa.
Memorial Day savings are here at the Home Depot with free delivery and up to 40% off, plus up to an extra $450 off select appliances like LG. Plan your get-togethers with an LG refrigerator you can count on at the Home Depot. And with a connected ThinQ app, you'll know when to replace the filter. Spend less time worrying this Memorial Day with savings on LG, America's most reliable appliance brand, at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid May 15th through June 4th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow trucks, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Stand Up to Cancer asked leading cancer researchers to speak about why they do their work.
Two words come to mind for me. One is responsibility. The other is purpose.
It's just so inspiring to do research that impacts human lives.
Stand Up to Cancer has been a critical partner in advancing research for cancer.
Cancer research saves lives.
So please help us fight in this battle against cancer.
Be a part of the team that ends cancer at standuptocancer.org.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
What? All the budget has to be used now? And we can use all the media buy?
Javier's marketing firm just got its dream funding.
Okay, ideas. Bobbleheads. No. T-shirt cannon. I seriously need some help here.
He needs to find marketing managers who are worth every dollar.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsoring a job on Indeed gives it a visibility boost so you can hire faster. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Houston Hydrosteam. That's Houston Hydrosteam. Quality work you can stand on. Whether you're looking for carpet and upholstery cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, residential or commercial water damage, and a whole lot more, you need to call Houston Hydrosteam at 205-553-9460. 553-9460, or visit them online at HoustonHydrosteam.com. And once again, Houston Hydrosteam is quality work you can stand on.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Hey, there's a leadership gap brewing in America. It's growing inside of your company right now. And it's not because your current leaders are bad. It's because you, like everyone else out there, have had to hire people. Maybe they were ready. Maybe they weren't. Maybe you had to lower the bar to get those entry-level employees. That means that your leadership pipeline may be underqualified, underprepared, or maybe just plain empty because today's entry-level employees may not add up and are not ready to be tomorrow's managers. But what am I talking about? You need to hire empowerment strategy and solutions and have us do our coach to coaches program so we can coach those leaders, those high potential individuals, those frontline managers, and those emerging leaders so that your pipeline of coaches are ready. We will coach the coaches so that they can coach and produce future leaders. That's Empowerment Strategies and Solutions, Coach to Coach program. Go to martinhouston.org and request your impact strategy meeting today. That's martinhouston.org/book me. Select impact strategy meeting. Love to discuss your leadership potential, your leadership pipeline, and help you avoid a leadership crisis in the next 3 to 5 years. Get them ready now so that your bench is full. X.
All right. Getting back into the conversation. going to talk about the running back room, buy, sell, hold, go through each running back and see what your thoughts are on them as we go through the room. Oh, wait, before we get that, we have CJ Watson's comment, and it is, I still say 6 is the magic number for expanding the CFP past 14s, but that doesn't make as much money, so it was never a realistic option.
Some people have a problem with more teams. I don't. The reason would 6 be a great number if everybody played everybody, if everybody had similar schedules? Because when you get to 6 teams, the reality of it is, I know we didn't have it this past year, but the reality of it is the prior system, Arizona State wouldn't have been in there, right? In the 4th system playoff, they wouldn't have been in there. What was the best team in the playoffs this year? What was the best game in the playoffs this year? Texas.
Oh, Georgia, Notre Dame?
I think Texas and Arizona State. I mean, right? I mean, that's my opinion. I think that was one of the best games in the playoffs. But the reason I say that is you just don't, with 6 teams when you have as many teams as the league has, and I think we also need to adjust. I think it's going to get to a point where it's more spread out. In the old world, it was clearly that there was 4 best teams because they could stockpile talent and nobody could go anywhere. But this year, from year to year, in the old system, you could lose in the first week or the second week and you were out of the playoffs. And you could literally be the best team in the country by the end of the year. And that's going to happen even more now, X, because you're having to rebuild rosters. You don't. Go ahead.
You look at the old system and you go, the teams in the national championship aren't there if it wasn't for the transfer portal. If Ohio State isn't able to get Will Howard and Quinshon Judkins, they're not in the playoffs. If Notre Dame doesn't get Riley,
don't forget they had the Remington Award-winning center and the best DB in the country.
Yeah, and Caleb Downs, Seth McLaughlin. If Riley Leonard's not at Notre Dame, they're not a playoff team. If Cam Catabo's not able to go to Arizona State. Isaiah Bond isn't at Texas. Like, you go down the list of the reason why these teams were in the playoff. There are otherwise Matthew Golden, who was a first-round pick. You just continue to go down the list. These teams aren't in the playoffs if it isn't for the transfer portal.
Yeah, but the conversation isn't about the transfer portal. The conversation is how many teams get in. And because of the transfer portal, teams could lose early. They could lose early because they're building their team. And in college football, we used to punish teams. You almost had to be perfect to be considered one of the best. When schedules aren't created equal, then that's where the problem is. How many championships would Nick Saban have played in if he was in the SEC, in the ACC or the Big 12 or the Pac-12 or the Big 10 when it was one team, Ohio State, right? He because he played in the SEC, but think about some of the teams in the SEC that got beat and didn't get to the championship game because they were in the Western Division. There was times during Nick Saban's era when the best teams in the country were Alabama, LSU, and you hate to say it, there's I'm sorry,
Harrison off and Auburn,
right? But because they had to play each other, they didn't get there, and so that's why I'm okay with more teams getting in. And everybody said, well, it'd be bad basketball. I don't hear people complain about March Madness.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that there's teams getting into the NCAA that has zero chance of winning a national championship, but it does give you the what was this team from Florida, Gulf Coast, whatever. There's the Butlers. There's the occasional
George Mason.
Butlers, huh?
George Mason, that run they had.
And I think you'll see some of those. We won't get to that level, but I think you'll see some of these 11, 12 teams at some point get and make a run because they got better as the season went along, X. They lost early, but then they come into the playoffs with a 8-game win streak or whatever, but they don't get back into that top ranking type of thing. So that's why I'm okay with more than 6. Think about that. 6 teams represent what, 1%? I'm sorry, that's at 1%. 10% of the top Division I schools. It's 60-something teams. It's 60-something teams in the conferences, right? If you take the top 5 conferences, 5 times on average 15. So I mean, I don't know. That's 60.
It's like 64 or something.
How many? The SEC has what? 16.
16.
Big Ten has 16.
18.
They have 18 now. Oh wow.
They have 18.
So that's 34 teams, and then Big 12 and
Big 12 has 14.
My point is that's a low percentage of the teams making the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it. So anyway, back to you, man.
All right, continuing, jumping into the running back room conversation, buy, sell, hold as we go through and talk about them player by player. Of course, we're going to start with the returning starter, and that is Jam Miller. Spent a lot of time splitting carries. This is going to be his as the backup. This is going to be potentially his opportunity to be the guy. Buy, sell, and hold.
I'm buying Jam. I think Jam improves. I thought Jam was playing the best ball he's played at the end of the year. I expect him to pick up on that. I think he's even better. But I don't think he's a very expensive stock. But I think his production will go up this year over last year.
Okay, I agree with that. I'm going to buy Jam. I'm buying him because right now he's the only guy we've seen on a consistent basis for Alabama. Richie Young looked good in his spots. Dre watching him transferring in. Don't know what he's going to bring to the table fully yet. So I'm buying Jam. And while we could potentially see a little bit shift of a one heavy workhorse back compared to others, not saying that the other guys won't get touches, but I think that'll be interesting to see when you talk about the divvying up of carries that can go with now that Jalen Milroe's not here. But we're going to get to break. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue this conversation and more.
All right, undoubtedly having some issues there with Chase getting us out. Let's go ahead and wrap up and run through and just combine the breaks.
Okay. Well, with Jeff, you had something you were going to say?
No.
Do that. Okay. When that's how I'm looking at it. But then when you're looking at who's going to be number 2 in this running back room, are you going to lean Richard Young or are you leaning Dre Washington?
I'm going to say Young probably. They brought Washington here for a reason. I don't know what skill set he brings that they liked that would make them take other than experience. So It's going to be interesting. You know, you guys seem to be really high on Young. uh, you said he'd be the short yardage guy. I don't know. Even his weight, he looks bigger than what he is. But he's the smallest of all the running backs that's in that. Yeah, based on what they have him listed at, he's 5'11", 210. Washington is 5'9", 218, and Miller's 5'10", 220. Based on listings, and like I said, that I was surprised by that. Daniel Hill 6'1", 242, and AK Deer 6'1", 210. So, you know, but you know, Saban used Roydell Williams as his short yardage guy, which was the craziest thing I think I've ever seen. But anyway, I think it'll be Young for this reason. You run the risk of losing Young next year, and so you run the risk if he's not in the rotation at least equivalent to Washington, you run the risk of losing your top 3 running backs. And I think, you know, I think you need to get somebody there. You need to get a guy ready to be the heir apparent and then be pushed by Daniel Hill, be pushed by AK Deer, be pushed by and I forget Riley from
Riley.
Yeah, and I think that he could be. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, I kind of lean that way with Young being the number 2, or it being a 1, 2A, 2B type situation with him in Washington. Because that's what it seems like. You said that you bring Washington in and you give him a lot of reps in the spring, so I think it'll be interesting. But are you buying Washington real quick, or are you selling, or are you holding on him?
I'm holding on Washington. I'm not selling because I trust his staff, and they brought him in for something. And so he adds something to that room that we may not fully recognize right now. So I'm not selling him. I'm holding. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I don't think I'm selling anybody in this running back room.
Yeah.
I think this entire running back room is a buy or a hold. And the reality of it is really based on your preference. But if you're projecting, I think they're all a buy to some degree. Because they're all young and unproven with huge ceilings.
Yeah. And you see Tim Coggins is a huge Daniel Hill fan. Pat brought up Daniel Hill. Tim Coggins goes, buy Young, hold Jam, sell Washington. Hill will overtake Washington and make an impact this year. And he says, and he feels that way because he thinks if you don't, Hill will transfer out at the end of the season. Which, sure, that's a possibility. But with also Daniel Hill, he of the guys returning, he played the third most. Riley ended up getting a red shirt. Hill played in enough games not to be redshirted.
I do think that Hill may be able to carve himself a spot in the short yardage, or I think you may see more dual back than you've seen under Grubb traditionally, 2 back, and I think he would be that second back some. But I don't buy into that he's going to hit the transfer portal necessarily. I think Young could hit the transfer portal because Young will have put enough stuff on film to show he can be a lead back by the end of the year. I don't know that Hill will have an opportunity to do that, put that much on film. And what place he's going to be most likely the first or second guy if he stays at Alabama after next year. So where is he going to? Where would he transfer to be better than that? He would have to be making a decision on money and not necessarily on future opportunity. And hey, listen, I know we just got into the running back conversation. We'll pick it up on Monday, X, and we'll add Kennington to the Smith III to the conversation. We'll also get into the yardage, the receptions, and touchdowns, and how they use this. Will it be running back by committee? We hadn't addressed that question. Close it out, man.
All right, hey, this is Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. We had Chase Bronco pressing all the right buttons. We appreciate you listening to us on this Free for All Friday, brought to you by TJ's Pharmacy. We'll be back on Monday to get ready to talk more Alabama sports.
Yep, and it's me, Marvin said. One of my favorite rooms is the running back room, but I believe wide receiver will be great too. I do too. And we're going to pick that up and talk about some of the depth in that wide receiver room next week. So we'll keep it rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Coming up.